What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now, Back to the Past. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Ghost of Tsushima Legends, the free multiplayer game, of course, that came on later, right? It surprised a lot of people. This was back when I just don't think, and including myself, nobody was ready for this, right? They have made Sly Cooper, my favorite game franchise of all time. They've made Infamous, right? And they've had DLCs, right? Infamous had DLCs with First Light, going to Second Son, I guess, and then also even Festival of Blood, which is one of the greatest DLCs, I believe, of all time for, like, any game. You know, you think about Ghost of Tsushima, you get Icky Island, right? Like, so they gave us the single-player stuff, and they give us this full-fledged multiplayer mode. And I remember when it came out, loving it and playing it a ton. I mean, you can see by some of the stats that I'll be showing in this video. Here's the thing, I only ever played as Samurai. I think that's the class title. Got to, like, rank whatever it is, 120 plus. The one magical thing about this game that I did realize upon going back is, like, you really do need that full team. You really do need, ideally, maybe one of everybody. Every class kind of has its own thing. They're all so freaking cool, especially as you really go in depth with them, and then seeing them, you know, like, even though I was locked to one, and the other ones I'm like rank 1, 2, and 3 on, right? Like, I'm not high, but then I go into a match and you see these masters of the arts playing as these other classes. It makes for an awesome match. It makes for a great experience. And so just to start there, you know, when we do this look back, and I like to do this, I try to look back at multiplayer games. I think that's sometimes more fun, honestly, than going back to single player games. It does amaze me how much detail, you know, is here. Like, this is something that they have added to. They've done, like, the weekly kind of challenges. Like, there's just a lot here. You got multiple difficulty modes for your ranking. Your ranking is based off, you know, the gear and all that stuff. Like, there's just a lot going on, and then there's a lot you can actually play. I mean, look, what it ends up boiling down to is going to an area and clearing out people, right? Like, when you think about the story missions, that's largely what you're going to do. You're going to go through objective kind of based things. You're going to free people. You're going to take out targets, you know, all this stuff. And it's honestly more in line with like a camp assault type thing that you would do in Ghost of Tsushima. You know, I'm playing that kind of simultaneously with the multiplayer for this channel, and you know, you think so many of these encampments that they have in the story of Ghost, when you're going around with Jin and you're freeing 3 hostages, right? Or you're doing this, you're doing that. And that's, you know, you're getting that largely when you do this, the story missions in Legends. But then in what I played the most of in my time going back, that you're going to see a lot of gameplay on, but I'm very proud of it, is the survival, when you're just taking on waves and waves and waves. And look, I remember this fondly. I remember the maps of this very fondly when they first came out. An absolute blast to play. And it really, by the way, it highlights one of the greatest strengths of this game, which is the combat. The combat is such a, well, let me say 2 things. Number one, the base combat is kind of a simple thing that has complexity to it, right? Now, when you go into the multiplayer, they actually limit you because your stances are, like, reduced, right? You don't have all 4 stances. So that's one thing. It's actually a more simplified combat than you would get, you know, in the base game. But then they're really adding with everything else. You know, you think about the base game with some of just, like, your tools, and obviously you have, like, the arrows and bows and all that different stuff. You know, again, now some of this is class-based in the multiplayer, but you're specific. You got kind of your own special talents. But now all of a sudden you have abilities. Now you have, like, almost these super moves that you can use, and healing is limited, but there's a class that can literally revive you, right? Like, there's all of this stuff that I think is taking a lot of the simplicity of the base combat and then honestly spreading it out, trying to, like, fill it in with 4 different classes, and then giving them legitimate reasons to play as them with those, you know, abilities that you can put your skill points into, and then, you know, kind of picking, like, well, what do you want to bring? So, like, I brought, I think, like, a kunai and, like, the stun kind of bomb type thing, or smoke bomb, to be able to do, like, assassinations. That's kind of always been my main 2 tools that I've taken in. But, you know, I've brought, like, the dirts where you can just throw it at people's faces. It staggers them. So, you know, you can kind of mix around and pick what you want. Weapons, like, I do a weapon that has a potential to do, like, fire. It'll just light people on fire. Visually looks amazing, and obviously, like, there's a damage reason to do it. And what I'm trying to say, you know, I'm kind of giving, like, these base examples, depth. The thing has so much depth, and that's why I wanted to circle back to, Like, this is one of the greatest, I think, free things that we've ever, you think about games, and especially nowadays, games that are 70, 80, dollars, and you think about this coming out, and it's a free, like Icky Island you had to pay for, but like this is just a free freaking thing. You can go crazy with this. You can put dozens upon dozens of hours, and you could probably see everything, but you won't unlock everything. You think about all the cosmetic unlockables of like your mask and your hat and your gear and what your sword looks like. Like there's so much here as a free thing. Like it's not normal. By today's standards, you would have to be charged something like this, right? Or microtransactions would be shoved down your throat. And that's also, by the way, a thing I like to look at, or a thing that's kind of like just a byproduct of going back into games years after they come out. You go into Fall Guys now, and it's unrecognizable from when it first came out. There are 30 currencies. There are 30 menus. I get lost in the menus of Fall Guys, and that's just one example because there's so much going on. It has gotten so much more complex in a worse way, in my belief, versus when it first came out. For Ghost, I mean, there's things there, sure, but really it's clean. There's not a lot there. The focus is on go in and just have some fun and beat these enemies, and they're all crazy enemies. There's like the ones that send ravens at you. There's ones doing like spirit summons. Like there's all sorts of zombie type ghosts. I mean, and some of these I forgot about. Like I do the Raven one. I remember just being a pain in my rear end when I first played it, years ago. It's still a pain, to be honest now. But like the ghosts, I don't remember facing ghosts. I don't know if that was new or I just didn't pay attention. But to go, by the way, back and forth between the single player and then the multiplayer, it's like, oh yeah, it's challenging too. Like again, every class is very unique, and you kind of need all of them to survive, especially survival, and especially on the hardest difficulty. But it is, you can have masters at work, and I think the one match that I'm kind of showing you most of, these are four, maybe not me, so maybe let's say 3 masters at work, and then me, who was jumping in for the match that we survived 15 rounds on the hardest difficulty, and this was me playing it for the first time in like 2-3 years. So I'm astounded that I did as well as I did, but just the team worked, and it reintroduced me to just the strategy of, that you get money or currency, let's say, I don't know what it actually is, but you get currency as the match is going for defending your bases, and then you can go and purchase things that you can then use, and just, me having to remember, like, okay, the down on the D-pad to like give that sword that extra boost, or then doing my ultimate move where I take out, I think I do like 4 swings in a row and they do like extra damage. Like just kind of remembering that, and then seeing some of my teammates throwing like this bombardment of grenades like at enemies, or the healers, or all sorts of stuff. Like it was so much fun, and just to see, and I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I saw it, because it shows me, okay, these are 4, I think we were maybe playing as 4 different classes, maybe one of them was repeated, but here's a bunch of different classes at their absolute peak. And then you kind of have to remember, like, well, what was the grind to get there? But I think the game is organized in a very nice way, right? You have all the different difficulties, and kind of one after the next. It's pretty easy with the gear system, and just constantly getting better numbers, and you just move your gears up, and there's a couple times you have to pick and choose, of course, but it's very simplistic, even that, in terms of, okay, just get better, just raise your power level. There's definitely like a skill thing with, like, you got to be good at blocking, you got to be good at parrying, you got to be good at dodging. If you're not good at that, you can have 105 level gear, it wouldn't matter, right? You're just going to get destroyed. But you can get better in terms of those add-ons to your character. But just a rock solid thing. Like, again, it's surviving waves, it's going after objectives, it's not the most complex thing in the world. I think there are like more complex, like maybe there's like, I don't know if they're dungeons. I remember I pieced out right as they were adding, I don't know if it was like weekly or monthly, and I didn't participate in that this time around when I went back in. I mean, maybe you guys can let me know in the comments how much deeper the multiplayer goes. I do think it goes a little bit deeper. I think there's like raids that I didn't do, but the point being, this thing always had depth to it, and it still does. I mean, I could go back right now and play it till Ghost of Yotei comes out and just have a ball, and you could play it over and over, and still, even though I'm kind of high level, at least with the one class, you can still learn and grow and just kind of tweak it just a little. Like, I didn't even do like the master gear thing. I don't even know how that works, to be honest with you, but like there's still more there. This has all the, in that way, it has the complexities of some of these like high AAA like multiplayer only games. It really does. Like it's insane, because then a lot of the other stuff is more simplistic, and I think just as a whole it is more focused on just, hey, go out there and have fun and do largely what you do in the single player, but you're going to be facing different enemies you're not really ready for. You just kind of have to go into it, and you have these different classes and you kind of have to learn how they work with each other. Now, what I will say, the final thing I'll say, matchmaking would still be a problem, this is a detriment to me going back to games so much later. Again, I like to see how they've evolved and, what I think about them now versus back then. But the one negative, of course, always is going to be you have less people. So my very first match going back into this years and years and years later was this match, the kind of legendary match that I've been playing most of this video, and that was like a match made in heaven. It gave me good footage. Let's just say that. It gave me everything I already said. It really awakened me again to what this game is like now. But also it made me think, oh, thank God I got into this match, because after this match, okay, it was a struggle. I couldn't find people. There were very few people playing. And then the pairs of people just did not. And really, I just think it's like the class combination thing. Because I found another 4-person, or me with 3 others. I found another 4-person group for the survival. We didn't, I think, make it past round 1 or wave 1, because I don't think we had a healer. So we had to go around to each person and pick them up. It just did not work. So match made in literal heaven, for that first time. But after that, I tried story missions with other people, and we did decent, but it wasn't fantastic. And then tried survival again with other people. Sometimes couldn't find them, or if I did, it just didn't work out. So, that is, because, when I make these videos, maybe some people say, oh, I want to go back in and play it. Look, all you really need is maybe 12, 15, 20 people to play it, and you got a couple teams out there you can be matchmake with. So that's okay. But, that's a negative to any of these games, right? When I go back and I play Battlefield 4, you're limited. You're going on servers that already exist. You can't do quick play on Battlefield 4. There's really nobody doing it. You got to pick your servers. It's what happens. Nobody is really playing Ghost of Tsushima Legends now. I think they should, to be honest with you, because it is legitimately amazing. It's what makes me scared about like the Uncharteds of the world and some of those kind of really nice like late PS3 into the PS4, especially actually a lot of those PS3 era multiplayer games. If they have not been shut off yet, there's nobody playing them. I think Uncharted 3 is still a thing, but there's like 10 people that play it. So it's like you can't really get that experience, even if it's super good and you can talk about it. The actual experience of going around is not there. At least with here, like, you don't need that many people, so that's a positive. Like, you just need 4. Well, and you're one of them, so you just need 3 others, and that's not that bad. And hopefully with Yote coming out, it reinvigorates people to go back into Legends. But then when Ghost of Yote Legends comes out, it's game over, I think, for Ghost of Tsushima Legends. And it ran its course. It's amazing. It's incredible. I love it, and I'll never forget it. And that's also why I wanted to make this video. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.